culture is actually
The goddamn run the calling both games.
Christmas has come and gone. An Arctic blast has frozen a ton of the nation in its tracks. And if you wanted to freeze your ass off during a game, people were all but giving away tickets this past week. If you can survive the elements, there's only one way to survive the resale market. And that's with SeatGeek, the sponsor of this video. They've been a staple of my game attending experience for a long time. And SeatGeek's my go-to for traversing the resale market to find tickets. The app sorts all tickets from red to green on a 1 to 10 scale. It offers you a view from where you'll be sitting. And all tickets are NFL certified, so no fakes. If you want to take advantage, use the promo code TREE to save $20 off your first purchase. And that's always with SeatGeek. This video will hopefully be just as cold as the weather was. I watched a team slowly die on the field of play on Thursday. Remember when the New York Jets had hope? We all know that isn't supposed to happen. The gods will send their greatest agent of terror to do it. Zach Wilson may be known for sexcapades, but he was vigorously fucking his team all night long. This dude literally can't throw a football. The offense didn't move an inch under him. Little did he know that Jaguars are not Cougars. They are not keen on being another notch on the belt. Jacksonville will break through that stout New York defense on a miserable night and rattle off their 5th win in 7 games. They didn't even have to do all that much. Merely grab popcorn and watch the Boo Birds fly at Wilson as he's benched for Chris Streveler. He at least managed to throw a football with some accuracy. And that is how a player will be traded for a 5th round pick this offseason. It's okay, Zach. There's a bright future for you as a guest on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Nothing screams Christmas time like playing football in horrifyingly cold conditions. I know the Bills are used to it, but this was the most frigid road game in team history. It didn't really affect Buffalo in the end result all that much, but when you're against a team with next to nothing, it's not hard to do. Things look questionable in the first half, but let's be real. You're playing the Bears. Their fans clamor for nothing more than a relentless tank. They will accept their quarterback that shows some semblance of a pulse. Do you know how rare that is for Chicago? That's the ultimate win of their damn season. Buffalo may dominate in every other aspect, especially in regards to the ground game. Winning means everything to them. Let them have it. What better way to solidify your claim to the AFC East than with an interception off Peter Mead? It's poetry in motion. I couldn't be prouder if I were Bills Mafia. You know, I think quarterback may have been the least of Cleveland's issues in hindsight. I mean, maybe a hunch, but when the team is colder than the wind chill of -16, buyer's remorse might be on the docket in the near future. When you have a hard time doing anything on the offensive side of the ball, against an aging, injury-prone outfit, barely able to do anything on their own, you need to take a hard look in the mirror and ask what the fuck you're doing. No, we can ignore that team coaching may have severe flaws and the defense is suspect. We just need an elite quarterback that can carry us to victory. Who gives a shit if said QB is incredibly rusty and playing like shit? It doesn't matter when you can't win against the Saints? Really? You're losing to those guys now. This is a friendly reminder that the $230 million man hasn't done a damn thing to win Cleveland a game. Sorry, Browns fans. This elimination also isn't consensual. The Atlanta Falcons may be the most unintentionally hilarious team to watch all season. Every opportunity is given for them to take a step forward and emerge as anything besides a punchline. Yet they live up to their reputation and choke away every game they have a chance in. Underhanded throws aplenty by their opponents. Yet they keep whiffing whilst falling to the ground. Or should I say fumbling after another big catch on 4th down? Either or is the correct answer in this scenario. Like most affairs involving the Falcons, it wasn't that their opposition won it. In the Ravens' case, it was far from the truth. The reality is that Atlanta lost this game. Like about 7 other matches this year. I feel like Arthur Smith's blood pressure has increased at least 50 points in both the diastolic and systolic categories. With how often his boys fuck up even the most basic of tasks, you have to wonder if he'll even have the stomach to yell at them in the locker room. They're so far away from 28-3, yet they just can't escape its horrifying grasp. A cruel fate all its own. I'm supposed to be impressed that the Ravens clinched a playoff berth? Have you seen how awful this offense has been for the past month and change? Wake me when they show a pulse come January. Imagine a timeline where the New England Patriots are a poorly coached team that's garbage at situational football. It may be sacrilege to say under the hoodie, but they might be there. I respect what he's done, but surrounding himself with worthless hacks as assistants doesn't help. Unsurprisingly, against the Bengals, there will be further hell to pay. Against themselves, as always. It's come to a point where bringing Bill O'Brien back will be celebrated like General MacArthur in New York City. At least he's proven he can move the ball down the field. The god-awful offensive attack will confirm it. When it's 22-0 at halftime with no momentum to speak of, things are all but over. However, the hoodie still has a few tricks up his sleeve, mainly casting a sleep spell on the opposition from the sidelines. It seems most improbable considering their disorganization, but New England is somehow bamboozling their way to a comeback. Cincinnati keeps making an endless cavalcade of mistakes, and it allows Foxborough to think they have a chance. The offense is somehow scoring points, which is a rarity in the post-Brady age to be only down by 4. How do you keep the madness coming? By a convenient fumble by Cincy. The bullshit is very real today. Marching down to the goal line late, they may save their season after all.
Handoff. Stevenson. Stonewall. And Stevenson lost the football! Cincinnati claims they've got it, and they do!
Ramondre. The Pats had the win all but within their grasp for a second straight game. Don't whine to me about forward progress. You boys didn't deserve to win. The Bengals did their best to bungle, but in the end, New England chose to pray at the altar of scorigami. Ramondre Stevenson should learn how to say "Lol cow of the week" in Chinese. After these past few weeks, Belichick might exile him there for eternity. Cincy, here's your playoff berth. Now run before we change our mind. The Titans. Dear God. That's all I can say. The game merely being delayed due to power grid issues in Nashville is injustice. It should have been canceled for our sanity. If you thought their offense was shit enough under Todd Downing, imagine how awful it will be without Ryan Tannehill. For the rest of the season. As Malik Willis somehow forgets how to do anything as a quarterback, you'll say to yourself, it's okay. Derrick Henry's going to rush for over 300 yards like he always does to bail out this shitty team. There's no way they can lose to the Houston Texans in a must-win game. I'm afraid I have bad news for the 3 optimistic Titans fans. It's not happening. Tennessee isn't only obliterated on the injury front, the tank of tanks can afford to win a game and still secure the first overall pick. Why not destroy the hopes of a completely fraudulent franchise that deserves to lose? It's not all that shocking when you realize the Titans are in freefall. They've lost 5 straight. A division that was all but assured for them is now in peril. Jacksonville now holds the division lead, and this loss guarantees that the Week 18 matchup will be for the AFC South itself. We have to see Mike Vrabel's yes men bumble their way through a primetime matchup in 2 weeks. God help us all. Remember how I said the clock may have been striking midnight on the Seahawks last week? That carriage has been trampled over by Prince Charming's men repeatedly by now. We all wondered how the fuck Seattle was doing this without Russell Wilson. Turns out it may have been a mirage. It's been a relentless drop into the abyss over the past month and change. They offered next to no resistance against the Chiefs. Their offense just couldn't get anything going. Trying to bribe with tasty treats wasn't enough to get this tired old bird to move. A 2 for 14 conversion rate on 3rd down usually doesn't lead to success. Their defense tried to hold a powerful Chiefs offense, but Kansas City didn't have to do all that much, to be honest. Andy Reid will eat cheeseburgers on their opponent's corpse. With how mortal Geno Smith looks in a unit that's running out of gas, they were doomed from the start. The only hopes for Seattle at this point are Denver's draft picks and that their schedule is against 2 teams that are about as deflated as they are. If they fail here, it's just another bitter pill to swallow after years of such. Detroit can now pounce. The football gods are cruel bastards. To their eternal punching bags, they will offer morsels of hope. It's okay, Lions fans. This time, we won't crush your hopes in a completely easy situation. We'll allow you to come back from the brink of despair. will let your team look like they've greatly improved from their previous form throughout the year. This is your time to shine, they'll say. At this point, they turn the heat up as you slowly boil to death. Against Carolina, the Lions' defense regressed to how horrifically shitty they were at the beginning of the year. The Panthers gashed them on the ground for 245 yards in the first half alone. 570 yards of offense in the game itself, breaking multiple franchise records. Tactical spanking. We expected domination, but not in this form. For as chaotic as their season's been, Carolina has a chance to control their own destiny with a win next week. And Steve Wilkes now has as many victories as interim coach as Matt Rule did in any season with the team. Seems pretty damning, doesn't it? It feels the same way for Detroit. We've seen plenty of games where one team is an incredibly inconsistent outfit that exists to agonize their fan base. But what happens if both teams give their fans endless widowmakers? There's no need to fantasize about such a mass extinction event. It happened with the Vikings and Giants, two franchises that have greatly exceeded expectations placed upon them. But have those watching wonder when the other shoe will fall? My question is, does anyone survive this game in attendance? Or is it like the Ark of the Covenant where those that watch die gruesome deaths? They're at least getting a good matchup to watch in the process. It's a fight to the bitter end. A duel where both teams know the perils of losing. Neither can afford to for their ambitions. That's why the pendulum constantly swings back and forth, each maintaining grasp of their enemy just to make sure they won't get away. The G-Men are slowly creeping back into the picture despite their mistakes, but a blocked punt in their own territory is cause for alarm. Minnesota scores a touchdown and the Giants are down by 8 in the fourth. They need a great drive to have any chance of success. With Daniel Jones and Saquon leading the way, New York not only scores a touchdown, they tie the game with 2 minutes left. So how do we make this even more incomprehensible? Minnesota still has a chance to win, and they've made it to the fringes of field goal range. But with their reputation, we're probably headed to OT.
From 61. And he has done it again!
The Vikings making clutch field goals with regularity. I think this was foretold as one of the signs of the end times. Greg Joseph, of all kickers, booted a 61-yard game winner willy-nilly. Minnesota escapes the clutches of failure yet again. I don't want to live in this timeline. Roger Goodell's riding above me as one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. I know it was a perfect opportunity for Washington to win with everyone else losing, but did anyone really expect them to this week? The Niners have been destroying all those that have the misfortune of crossing their path. They will offer no quarter. They will not grant leniency. There will only be complete annihilation. Teams don't roll off 8 wins in a row by accident, and the scourge of the Bay Area showed us why here. There isn't much to decipher in this one. San Fran was just a significantly better team, in nearly every aspect of play. In many ways, it felt effortless for the Niners. And this wasn't a cakewalk. The Commies were riding decent form beforehand. It meant nothing since nobody could do anything to stop the onslaught. Taylor Heineke was on a short leash all game. He was promptly yanked to the sidelines after a series of fuck-ups. Because as we all know, hell hath no fury like Carson Wentz in garbage time. Easy win for the Niners today. Good work to keep pace with their rivals. The rivalry game. A classic staple where the only thing expected out of both teams is their best. Where bragging rights are on the line. The greatest prize of any in the NFL. Philly has the division all but locked up, but there will be a curveball thrown in. Jalen Hurts is injured. To replace him, the living embodiment of Florida man shotguns a beer on the sideline and shotguns his team to offensive drives. Gardner Minshew is that man, and he's allowing us to witness a spectacle. Jerry Jones loves his star power, and both teams are showing it in spades. A gun show where only the best weapons are on display. The Eagles flashing their offensive talent by holding a slight lead throughout, while Dallas counters every attacking kind. Philly maintains advantage in the fourth, but they start to lose sight of the prize. First offense, a game-changing interception by Florida man because Quez Watkins didn't really fight for the ball. Dallas only got a field goal out of it, but they didn't need to do all that much otherwise. Because Miles Sanders somehow botched a routine toss play. The Cowboys did enough to put the game away. And like Philly in their previous matchup, Dallas wins against the opposition's backup. So they're both even now. Get in your shelters, everyone. Cowboys fans are going to be obnoxious about this one. Once again, though, merely responding in kind. I wish there really was a nuclear option. Or if Philly didn't stall out in the red zone. It's been 50 years since the Immaculate Reception. This was supposed to be a day of celebration. A day where Franco Harris's number would be retired in a sea of yellow-toweled glory. However, with Franco's tragic death days before, it's turned into a bittersweet tribute on the field of play. Quite literally, as it's morphed into a sheet of ice. In the blistering winds of an Arctic storm, the game is plodding along. Would you call it a tribute to the 70s? I don't know, but the offensive output is pathetic on both sides. We know Pittsburgh's offense sucks. It's sucked for a few years now. But what about the Raiders? All I can say is that Derek Carr should start looking at real estate in other cities. He's most likely done in Las Vegas. He laid an egg. The whole unit did. Josh McDaniels showed how much of a shit coach he was, like he has in most losses this year. It's not that they're losing in regularity. It's how they're doing it. This guy's supposed to be an offensive guru, yet they can't properly utilize Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams? What the hell are you? The only reason why they have the lead is because Matt Canada exists and Chris Boswell suddenly can't kick a field goal. The Winds will do that, however, the Raiders can't capitalize. Pittsburgh has the final drive, and spirits must convene. They will be nudged closer and closer to the goal line, with every second drifting away. I think we have an idea how this will end.
Pickett over the middle. Touchdown. George Pickens.
A last-minute passing touchdown in a bitterly cold home game where the Steelers win 13-10 over the Raiders. The scriptwriters really need to stop being so obvious. It's like they're taunting us with these lazy remakes. Franco smiles from above in a probably meaningless win because the true prize was achieved, making the Raiders look terrible. Remember when we thought the Dolphins a legitimate Super Bowl contender? Those times felt nice, didn't they? After the outright implosion they've been on over the past month, this will be known as Miami's Vice. A time where Jalen Waddle will make outstanding individual efforts to carry this team to a long touchdown. A time where dazzling offense will save the day. A time where the Green Bay Packers will yeet the ball 10 yards past a receiver on a 4th and 1. And then fake a punt at their own goddamn 20. Should be a Dolphins win here, right? You underestimate Miami's ability to completely implode. Every chance they should have to score points or one-up a team in a must-win game will be squandered. Tied at 20 in the second half? Doesn't matter if Green Bay isn't doing everything to win. Tua is in the spirit of giving. He was visited by 3 critics and chose to give tasty turnovers to the Packers defense. Maybe it was the concussion symptoms he was apparently experiencing. Where was the spotter on all this? No wonder why they've lost 4 straight. Green Bay needed this one too. They had every single thing go right this week. And false hope reigned supreme with a bunch of frauds ahead of them in the standings. Yep, they're making the playoffs now. God damn it. I think the NFL expected these two teams to have much better records when they scheduled this. All of these Christmas games were awful. But since neither team has their top draft picks, we can at least have a spirited matchup. Well, at least one of these disappointments managed to show up. If you merely looked at this game, you'd think that the Rams were still in Super Bowl form. That's how bad Denver was. It wasn't even a situation of bad luck. The whole team got destroyed by LA's sloppy seconds. Russell Wilson went from a star acquisition to being roasted by Patrick Star on the Nickelodeon broadcast. Yes, children were subjected to this horror. Quite possibly the worst performance of his career. And might be the worst game in Broncos history. The team's out of sorts. The players are fighting each other on the sidelines. Nathaniel Hackett staring into a void as the foundations burn to the ground. The team is utterly routed. Everything is lost. Critical mission failure. As I said, never say you've hit rock bottom, because there's always a way to go lower. The Broncos are proof of that. They're not just in darkness, they're in advanced darkness. At least Nathaniel Hackett lives up to the first syllable of his last name. The more time passes, the narrative that he was merely brought in to lure Aaron Rodgers to Denver gains more and more credence. We all knew he was getting fired at the end of the year. But Broncos brass saw how terrible the team was against the totally destroyed Rams and just sent him on his permanent vacation early. They were humiliated on a national stage nearly every week. Hackett didn't just lose the locker room. Players openly defied him within earshot. A piss-poor leader offering nothing of value. Ruining everything he touched. Completely overmatched in all aspects. This guy was hailed as an offensive genius, yet was so offensive that he had Broncos fans yearning for Pat Shurmur. To be honest, this dude should have been fired after week 1. How he butchered the game clock and play calling against the Seahawks was legendary incompetence. And quite possibly jackknifed their entire season. They hired a game planning manager for him in week 3 and he gave up play calling a month ago. The fuck do you do here, man? Hackett was far from the only problem in Denver, but they had to make a move. They're locked into Russell Wilson. He's regressed to a hollow shell of himself physically. You have to figure out something there. Time has revealed Hackett to be nothing more than a thinner Freddie Kitchens. And that guy at least managed to coach a full season. He's not just lolcow of the week. He's lolcow of the goddamn year. Nathaniel couldn't hack it whatsoever. Lame pun? Well, he's a shit coach, so it fits. Tampa Bay is either the luckiest team alive or being nudged into the playoffs for ratings. I have no other explanation as to how they can look so unbelievably terrible yet be in line for a division title. They have shitty coaching, shitty quarterbacking, shitty running backs, a shitty O-line, shitty scheming, and keep shitting up drives with shit penalties. Tom Brady has declined hard. It's like he's either got Adam Schefter on his mind or is burned out on this team. When you struggle against the Arizona fucking Cardinals, trotting out Trace McSorley to flail around, you're really having trouble with this? Oh wait, I've seen this movie 100 times before. It's where Tom Brady Houdinis his way to a win because his opponent is complete sheepdog. Wow, I'm in fucking awe of the Bucks barely beating a Cliff Kingsbury coached team. I'm gonna suck your dicks like the media does when you play like ass for 55 minutes again. The Bucks were so bad they had to use overtime to beat their opponent. And everyone pretends that Brady had a great game when it was one of the worst of his career. I've seen reality TV shows that felt less scripted than this. Way to be fucking useless, Arizona. Guess that's what happens when you're owned by a fail son of a fail son. The Chargers all but got a free win out of this one. Indianapolis is dead, and Jim Irsay killed them. He stuffed the entire damn team into one of his guitars. In another desperate attempt to shuffle deck chairs on a sunken ship, Nick Foles was recalled from a local sports convention to get killed in the pocket. Big Dick Nick he was not. He went limp. The whole team did. LA's defense got 7 sacks against them. The Colts didn't convert a single third down all game. Not even accidentally. It's quite obvious that Irsay's attempt to regain control over his team has predictably backfired. And he'll take the wrong lessons from it like he always does. Most people felt like they were going to lose this game. But hopefully Jeff Saturday's getting paid well to be a losing placeholder. This win says absolutely nothing about the Chargers. Quite frankly, they've escaped through at least 5 games where they tried to hand their opponent a win. Yet because the league is awful this year, they made the playoffs with ease. Get your shit together already. With a few big losses this week, the NFL playoff picture has become a mosh pit, as has been written for time eternal. The AFC North is still neck and neck between Baltimore and Cincinnati. Guess who plays each other in Week 18? That contest will more than likely be for the division title. In the AFC South, same scenario. Tennessee has fallen apart so badly that Jacksonville now holds the division lead. No matter what happens next week, their matchup is guaranteed to be for the right to advance as division leader. There are no changes in the first 4 seeds, but Buffalo can clinch number 1 seed if a few things go their way next week. In the wildcards, we know either Baltimore or Cincy will get one, and the Chargers just clinched another. But with Miami in freefall, the 7th seed is now murky. The Jets and Patriots, despite being awful as of late, still have a fighting chance. The Titans and Jags can still technically be wildcards, but their best shot of making it is winning their division. Pittsburgh and Las Vegas are clinging on for dear life, and will need many miracles to make it. The NFC East is still the same scenario as before. winning clinch for Philly, and that includes the number 1 seed. If Dallas loses once as well, they are doomed to play as a road team in the wild card. The NFC South is still the division that should not exist, and Tampa Bay can seal it away with a win against the Panthers. If Carolina wins, though, we continue down the chaos timeline. New Orleans is still technically alive, but will need a lot to happen to win the South. With wildcards, Dallas most likely will be headed to the NFC South winner. The Giants still sit comfy, a game ahead of Washington for the second spot, with the Commies taking last seat for now. With Detroit and Seattle both losing last week, Green Bay can bullshit their way to a postseason berth with a few more things happening in their favor. But they need the Lions and Seahawks to keep losing. The Saints can also clinch a wildcard, but it's an extreme long shot. But it's a shot nonetheless. And if you have that, you can still chant the rule.
Don't get eliminated!
Football is a brutal game. May the bell toll for the fallen.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost.
Thus concludes another week of this sermon on the field. Amen.
They have the ball, and they're going to see if they can find a way to move it.
Oh, nice.
And so what's that? Oh, there's Russ Wilson. Oh, no! Oh, that's called an interception.
That's close. Bobby Wagner.
Yeah, that's not what he wanted to cook.